Hey everyone, Harry here to talk about Trump's brazen move to try to have an indefinite delay and the big question of what Aileen Cannon will do. All right, so first point, review the bidding here. An automatic scheduling motion was raised in the Mar-a-Lago trial where they just as a placeholder put in August. But the DOJ then entered a serious, if very accelerated or fast scheduling motion that said we can do this all by December. Now, the big ticket item here are the classified documents. Trump, we already know, is going to bring a flurry of different pretrial motions. I'll talk about those in a moment. However, the real sort of potential for delay rests in trying to monkey around with the classified documents that are a necessary part of this prosecution. So the DOJ comes in promptly and says, we've given over all kinds of discovery, much, much more than they're entitled to. We can have a hearing on the 14th of July and set the classified documents regime, and we can do this trial in December. That obviously was going to be faster than Trump wanted. In fact, it was strategic. I think it was sort of an overture to have Trump say something like, it would have been hard to say June, 6 months later, but so maybe he says something like March, and then they split the difference. What did Trump do instead? He filed a motion saying, let's have no schedule. Let's not even think about this until all the pretrial motions have been done. In other words, let's have maximum delay. And this really is a telling moment for Judge Cannon. And that is the third point and the main point here. She's someone who, even aside from her previous solicitousness toward Trump, she doesn't have a lot of experience with criminal trials. And she might be cowed into thinking, well, I've got to give them a lot of time, and we'll have to see, because the right move here, you have one person, one party who is making a motion for a fast trial and another who comes in and says absolutely nothing. The obvious right move for a judge trying to manage her docket well is to say, especially in a district like the Southern District of Florida, known for moving along quickly, okay, Team Trump, you had your chance. You didn't give me any schedule at all. Guess what? I've got a schedule in front of me, and none from the other side will go with the United States. That is something that would be returning fire of a pretty ham-handed gambit by Trump. Now, let's go to what the things that Trump is saying. So first, yes, all this talk about once the classified documents come into play, oh, it'll be so much time, et cetera. And I've talked about that before. It's basically a matter of negotiating out what exactly will be in front of the jury. But the United States has chosen these 31 documents carefully, and none of the charges turns on how serious they are. They all rather just turn on the fact that they are national defense information, not even classified, but to the extent that matters, you simply have to say it. So they could lose a number, and they can say strongly, we do not have to worry about just how serious these are. The charges are the charges, and they're not by gradation of super duper duper serious, like the Iran document that we think from the indictment he was pretending at least to throw around. What else did Trump say in this motion? Lots of stuff. First, he came out with the same old canard of the Presidential Records Act, which has exactly zero to do with this case, but said, oh, it's going to be so difficult to figure out the connection between the Presidential Records Act and these charges here. It's a first-time issue, and that'll take a long time, Your Honor. That is totally bogus, and she should bat that down. Then they just say in general, huge case, so much paper, etc. And if you don't give us enough time to go through, that could threaten Trump and Malta's due process rights. That's going to be the kind of brandishing, sort of saber rattling argument they'll make, that you're actually abridging our due process rights, and a court of appeals would reverse on that basis. Don't think it's very likely at all that a court of appeals would reverse. So this is really Trump playing a major gambit. This is the point to take home, where he refuses even to set a date, hoping that she'll just take this off calendar, which would be really playing into his hands and pretty outrageous. What can she do? First, she can say, we've already set a date for the motions that aren't the classified motions. There's no reason to change that date. Let's hear what you have to say. And we know in fact, their motion kind of adverted to it, saying we want to talk about the procedure of the indictment here. In other words, they're going to make completely meritless under the law prosecutorial misconduct motions. Fine, let them bring them, but bring them fast. And they're going to make a motion probably about Evan Corcoran and the attorney-client privilege. Fine, let them bring it, but bring it fast. And whatever sundry motions they want to bring, fine, let them bring them, but bring them fast, and let her adjudicate them fast. And by the way, if they go against the United States, there's the possibility that they could take appeal up and then actually consider moving to recuse Cannon. So the first thing she should do is say, we're not changing the motions, and she should go with this hearing on Friday. She shouldn't take it off calendar, and she should say, first, we're going with these motions, same date as before, and then classified. Let's talk now. One of the things they came in with was Nauda's lawyer still hasn't completed his security clearance. This is not the local counsel that Nauda stalled for a month for getting. This is the one he's had all the time. And A, he really should have completed it by now, and she shouldn't stand for it. And B, you do not need a security clearance to talk about what procedures the parties are going to use for the classified documents, as the United States has pointed out. So she can go ahead with this hearing on Friday and say, let's now settle what the process is going to be, and set either say, if you don't want to set a date, Team Trump and Nauda, you've had your chance. We've got one from the United States, or maybe push it back a bit. But it would be a very bad sign and a travesty, regardless of who the defendant is, for her to acquiesce in their obvious gambit and just say, I'm going to take the whole thing off calendar now. That would be, put it absolutely on a glide path to not finishing before the November election, which is really the date that should be in everyone's focus. Leads me to my final point here. Trump actually raised in his motion the point that, hey, I'm the leading Republican candidate for president, and that's something you should take into consideration. I expect the DOJ to push back hard on that and say that is not a justified reason for these inordinate delays. He can make time. It'll mainly be his lawyers who are doing the work anyway. Don't fall for that one, Judge Cannon. So the battle is really joined for the first time now on a Trump inordinate delay strategy and a DOJ hurry up strategy. We'll see where Cannon lands in a hearing that still should take place on Friday. It'll tell us a lot about what is in the future with the Mar-a-Lago prosecution. Talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.